So, my 7-year-old, my 3-year-old, I know I talk about them a lot, but man, God can teach us so much through our kids every day. But man, my little Tasmanian devils, as I like to call them, these guys have the absolute ability to just completely destroy any environment that they're in within seconds. And anybody who has young kids knows that as soon as you clean up whatever area you're in, they come in and they just completely destroy it. So we have a room, it's called the toy room. And it's really just a playroom where all their toys are located. And, it's a constant battle to keep that room clean because they come in and literally within 5 minutes, the place is just destroyed. My little one who's 3 just comes in and dumps all these little buckets of Legos and all these little Matchbox cars and all this stuff. And you can imagine when you walk in, it's just a sea of stuff, a sea of toys everywhere. And I'm walking in, I'm crunching through and stepping on Matchbox cars and little toys and hurting my feet. So it was in that moment that I walked in and frustration was welling up in me a little. And it was like God instantly spoke and said, you know what, Salim, I step into your mess every single day and I'm the one that has to jump in and help clean. So just as I go in and I help my boys clean up their mess, man, God the Father is constantly at work. And I wanted to share with you a simple message called the gospel. God created this earth and everything you see in it and everything outside of it. And he created it perfect. And then he created human beings. And he created us to be in perfect harmony with him. But as you guys know, as Adam and Eve were created, they spent a little time in the garden doing what God had asked them to do. It wasn't long before the enemy crept in and led them down the wrong path. And it was their pride that took them out of God's design. They wanted to do things their way. And how many of us are guilty of that? I know I am. I've spent a lot of my life chasing the wrong things, and that's what began this sin problem and this evil that just has overtaken our world. And guys, look around, get on Facebook, get on Instagram, watch the news. You can see the world is chaotic, it's evil, there's so much violence, there's so much hatred, there is a lot going on, a lot that needs to be fixed. It was in that brokenness that we were trying to fix this problem, this sin problem. And for me, it was drugs, it was alcohol, it was partying, it was career, chasing the wrong things. It was fitness at times, just trying to fill this void of brokenness, because let's be honest, those things, they make you feel good for a short term, but then after a while, it just snaps you even farther into brokenness. Ultimately, his ultimate plan was to step out of heaven onto this earth, and he was born, Jesus, born of a virgin, lived a life showing us his example, teaching us the character of God, showing us the intentions of God's heart. And then it was on that day that he was arrested, beaten, nailed to a cross for your sin, for my sin, being put in a grave, and 3 days later rising from the dead. God raised Jesus from the dead. He did that for us, guys. He did that so that we wouldn't have to continue to fight through what we fight through on the daily. And so it's in our surrender to him that he can come in and actually restore and fix us and redeem our lives, guys. And so as I stand before you, I am a picture of that. I had a completely broken past, and it wasn't until I surrendered my life to Christ and allowed him in to fix this broken mess that you see before this camera. And so I want to encourage you guys. Some of you guys are out there, and you guys you're sitting in a mess. You're sitting in a mess it just seems unfixable. Well, let me share with you and encourage you that God can fix any mess. And I want to encourage you guys to think about that. And just as I step in every single day, and my wife steps in every single day and helps our boys clean up the mess that they can't clean up, our Heavenly Father is wanting to do the same for you. When Jesus died on the cross for us, he just didn't die for past sins. He didn't die just for the present sins. He died for future sins. And as I came over this morning, I shared with Anthony that last night I went to bed, man, and I was a jerk to my family, and I was upset with my wife, and over nothing, over just, my stank attitude. And it was waking up this morning and just asking the Lord to forgive me and wash me as white as snow. And that's the beautiful part about the work on the cross, is that when we come to him, he's there to forgive. He's there to extend grace. He has expectations for us, for sure, but his grace is limitless. And so guys, I want you to know, wherever you are, remember that his death on the cross, that work alone was enough. There's nothing else you could do to earn his love.